up guys? I'm Amanda, the Botanical Brunette, and welcome to my channel. You guys may notice a little bit of a change in my voice. If you saw my last video, you know that I took a trip to New Hampshire. I just did all my plant chores in that video to get ready to go up there. And I brought a little gift back with me, and I actually tested positive for COVID. So I didn't post a video last week just because, trust me, you didn't want to see me like that. I am back. I'm feeling a lot better, just really congested. I did lose my taste and smell, which was really odd. Such a weird symptom of COVID. It's starting to come back, so I'm starting to finally taste stuff. It was so hard to cook things, and it was just kind of hard. I'm such a foodie. I love like food. I love like, I can't like not taste stuff. So it was like hard for me to just absolutely lose that sense, but thankfully it's coming back. That is basically what has been going on with me, if you guys were kind of wondering why I didn't post a video last week. But because today is actually the last day of August, I'm going to show you all the plants that I got for the month of August, show you all the wish list plants, and see what I was able to gather in the month. So the month of August was actually pretty good for me. As most months, I was able to check off a couple wishlist plants on my list, which means that like I feel like I'm checking them off so fast that I am starting to have to kind of dive into my honorable mention kind of section of my wish list. But I have been randomly just like adding stuff here and there. I don't know if this wish list is going to segue into next year. At the rate I'm going when I'm adding stuff, it might be. I'm trying to stick with the original like wish list that I created back in January. So I'm trying to kind of just stick with those plants first, and then maybe if I get to like November or December and I'm kind of like out of plant ideas, then I might dive into the honorable mentions. Also, if I find a good deal on those plants, I might grab them as well. I mean, they are on my wish list technically, so, but I have a few that I've just kind of added here and there, and I'm kind of like excited to see like if I can actually get like all of these plants on my wish list. I was able to get these plants before I went out to New Hampshire, and I was able to get two kind of common house plants. And then I actually had a wish list plant that I rebought. So basically this plant has just been giving me such a struggle. It's been such a hard plant to keep alive. I think it's just because I bought such a small version of it that it just was not rooting for me. It was just too much work. So I actually wound up buying a more mature version of it, and hopefully it will be easier to take care of than the small one. But I'll get into that after. That will be my last plant, because that plant was actually a plant that I actually bought when I was in New Hampshire. It just happened to be on sale and I just kind of snagged it. But without further ado, let's get into it. Let me talk about all the plants that I got for the month of August. If you're new to my channel or my plant hauls, basically here are the rules. If you are not, you can just skip this chapter. Here are the rules for my plant hauls for this year. Basically what I do is I try to stick with a $50 budget every month, and I'm trying to check off only my wish list plants. Back in January, I created a whole wish list, and over the past few months, I have been adding to it here and there. But I really wanted to focus on just plants that I wanted versus just plants that I saw at a store. My plant collection is getting too out of control, so I just wanted to make sure that I was only getting plants that I really wanted. As I'm going, I'll show you basically what the first plant I got in that month, and then it kind of will, you know, the last plant you'll see is the last plant that I got. And I'll also add the price at the bottom so you guys can see like how much each plant was. Sometimes I mention it, sometimes I don't. And then also at the end, I will total it up and you can see if I have hit my budget or I've gone over my budget. This year, I've kind of loosely based it on my $50 budget. I haven't really stuck with it 100%, but I kind of used it as like a baseline. It's just basically fun to just see at the end if I made my budget or not. So without further ado, let's finally see all the plants. I know I've been talking. Let's look at the plants that I got for the month of August. So the first two plants are going to be more common plants. I actually wound up going to a local nursery by me called Lukas Nursery. I wanted to kind of check out and see what they had. I knew they had one wishlist plant on my list that I was really itching to buy. I really just kind of wanted one. I was seeing it a lot on Instagram and I was like, I gotta get it. I just gotta bite the bullet and buy it. But I actually went there. I went to that nursery and I stumbled upon this plant and it was on my wish list, so I got it. And that is this Snow Queen Pothos. Like, look how pretty this is. So I don't know why it took me so long to find a Snow Queen Pothos. I've been wanting one for such a long time and I couldn't find one that was reasonably priced that was big enough. I was seeing like basically what I paid for this plant, but in like 2-3 leaf cuttings, and I was like, I'm not gonna spend all that. It's a Pothos. Come on, like let's be honest here. Like like you're not a rare plant at all. But this Snow Queen was kind of hard for me to find. I don't know why, but I went to Lukas Nursery going to buy a different plant and I stumbled across these. And when I tell you that I stood there for a solid 25 minutes trying to figure out which one I wanted. This is why my husband doesn't like going plant shopping with me, because I will pick up every single plant in that variety. I probably picked up at least like 12 plants, like a dozen plants of the Snow Queen, and I'm looking at all the leaves and I'm really just examining them. I don't know why I'm so picky when I go to a plant shop versus like, I get a lot of my plants like online and I'm obviously not picky. I can't really choose them most of the time. So, but I'm really happy to check this off my list. It's such a big, lush plant, and of course it's a Pothos, so it's gonna be super easy to take care of. I have this in a northeast facing window. It kind of is in the corner of a southeast facing window. It's kind of, gets a really bright light basically. It gets really good bright light. I actually bought this a couple days before I left for New Hampshire. I don't know if you guys probably maybe have spotted the two plants. If you saw my plant chores video, my last video, you may have seen these two plants because I was watering them. When I got back, this one was actually kind of wilty and it popped right back up. Like it just, it's so easy to take care of. I mean, a Pothos is just, it's such a good plant, honestly. Pothos was the first plant that I got for the month of August. So the next plant that I got was the plant that I actually went to the nursery to buy. I haven't found, even though this plant is really common, I haven't found it really in any big box stores, or it's kind of, it's a little risky for me to buy online just because, well, you'll see. The next plant that I got for the month of August is Calathea Orbifolia. Look how big this plant is. For a Calathea, that's impressive. So the reason why I didn't want to buy this online is because I just know how finicky Calatheas are, and I really don't trust them via mail. I don't know. I mean, let me know in the comments if you've ever like bought a Calathea online. I'm just nervous that like I'm gonna get it and it's gonna be like really in rough shape. I know that I buy like Alocasias online, which is kind of risky, but I feel like Calatheas even more are like super, super picky. But I got this Calathea and it was a pretty good price. I feel like it was a little bit expensive, but honestly, like I haven't found it anywhere else. So I just wound up grabbing it. I mean, I got it for $20, so it's really not that expensive. But since I have left, I have had a whole bunch of new growth kind of coming through. I don't know if you guys can see these little roll-ups, these little fruit roll-ups. But I am just super happy to check this plant off this list. I have treated both of the plants just because a lot of times when I buy plants from like nurseries, they tend to have pests. I don't know why. It's probably just because they're outside. So I have treated this plant and everything, and it seems to be doing really well. like I said, I mean, it's got a lot of new growth on it. I do keep this in my southeast facing window, kind of like on the floor. So it gets like sprinkled light like through the plants, which is kind of how they are in the wild. And then it's right under my humidifier. So the humidifier will kind of blast up and then sprinkle down. So hopefully that's enough humidity. Again, they're very picky, so I have no idea. And then while I was at Lukas Nursery, I was like, well, I need to go check off a couple things off of my list for my Etsy shop. So I went over to Michael's to get some supplies, and I noticed that they had like a spring summer sale. And of course their spring and summer sale always has planters. So I was able to check this planter off. Look how pretty that is. Like, and it comes like footed. It is metal, so I do have the Calathea in a cover pot. So I kind of just make sure that the Calathea is well drained before I put it back in the pot. This was $5. I had to get it. I mean, it was 80% off. Always check your like craft stores. I know that sounds weird, but like if you are near like a Michael's or a Joann Fabrics or really like any craft stores like that, they do have planters. They do have like, you know, fake planters and stuff like that. They have like geraniums. They have like the cloaks, I think they're what it's called. They have so many cool things for plants. And that's also another place where I buy a lot of my planters is TJ Maxx. Well, not only TJ Maxx and Marshall's, but also Michael's and Joann Fabrics is kind of a really good place to find planters. And they always have a sale. So that's like basically the best part is you can either get like a discount or you can like get them on sale. I knew that Michael's was already doing their sale, but I was like, it's so late in the season. I feel like they're not gonna have anything left for planters. And they had this. And I actually thought it was like more expensive. I thought it was like $10 and it wound up bringing up for like $5. So I was like kind of kicking myself. I didn't get the other one because there were two. But it's really cute. I mean, this fits the Orbifolia so well. Like it just like, it's so perfect in this planter. And I'm loving the white, obviously all the white pots that I have, but I'm really liking the pops of gold that are getting trendy as well. Those are the two plants that I got at Lukas Nursery. And then the next plant that I got is a plant that I had to rebuy. Basically, this was a wishlist plant of mine for the longest time. And it was just not doing good. It was struggling like bad. I think it was because I bought a starter plant and it just didn't take well. It was only ever happy in moss. I tried everything I could and I still do have remnants of it, but let me show you what I got because I'm really excited to show you the new version. So the next plant that I rechecked off my wish list is this Alocasia Zebrina. So I was able to get this plant on sale and I actually bought this plant for the same price I bought the starter plant for. So I got a more mature version. This actually, it said it would come in a 6-inch pot. I opted out for just like a bare root basically shipping. It definitely was not, the root system was not big enough to fit a 6-inch pot, so I was kind of a little annoyed with that. But honestly, like I got it for such a good price that I can't complain. Like I can't complain about that. But like it's just got the beautiful Alocasia Zebrina stems and it's got just such big leaves. Like I'm like such in love with this plant. Now for this Alocasia, I noticed that the seller that sold it to me, I got it on Etsy, there was a lot of like soil left on the roots. So I'm like, okay, well she kept it in like a more of a kind of a loomy soil. So I wound up replicating that, but also making it the most fast draining soil I've ever seen in my life because I have problems with root rot with this plant. So I put a ton of bark, a ton of perlite, a ton of I mean, you name it, it's in there. Like, I have Licca balls, I have charcoal, it's basically like an orchid potting mix, essentially. I mean, it's got a little bit of soil, but most of it is just super fast draining. And so far, so good. I've had it for a little over 2 weeks and it seems to be going all right. I mean, I feel like if it was upset, it would already have like a yellow like halo around the leaves, and so far it's doing completely fine. I only lost one little baby leaf, but that's like not a big deal. But it's just, I'm really hoping that this is it, guys, because I'm kind of tired of buying more. If I told you how many Alocasia Zebrinas I bought in the last couple of months, you guys would probably unsubscribe. But I'm just like, I don't even know. Like, it is just, it's definitely a wishlist plant for me, and I'm learning as I go. I mean, I think that's probably the best thing you gotta just think about, is that I'm learning, and eventually I'm gonna be an expert on this plant. At least I hope I am. So pretty soon I'll be able to give you guys the best Alocasia Zebrina care you'll ever have, because I have gone through it all. I have some corms that are still kind of growing, but they're not doing great. I did lose the main plant that I was growing in moss, because I thought, well, you know, it's doing good in moss. I'm nervous about keeping my plants in moss, just because, especially Alocasias, because they're such heavy feeders, and if they're in moss, they don't need to be watered like ever. And I'm like, I don't want it to like go dormant, so I'm like, I don't even know. It's been a struggle, but I'm definitely learning as I go, and I'm doing a lot of research. This time I'm not gonna let this plant fail. I have other Alocasias in my collection that do great. It's just this one is just a struggle. Hopefully it's because I bought the starter plants, and the starter plants just needed a lot more love and care and more propagation than I gave it, where this one had a way more established root system. So, and the roots looked amazing. When I got them, they were like pure white. So I'm really glad that I was able to get like at least a healthy specimen of an Alocasia Zebrina. Those are the plants that I got for the month of August. Now I know I normally don't go over like plant supplies anymore, because now my focus is more on just the wishlist plants, but I really wanted to show off that planter that I got because it was just so pretty. I like had to show you guys, and I mean, I got it for $5, so I mean, I was really excited about that. So I'm not gonna add the pot into my budget just because I really haven't done that. At least I don't think I have done that this whole time. It's just really been my wishlist plants. So with the 3 plants that I got for the month of August, the grand total is $51. So I only went $1 over my budget, which is pretty good. I did wind up buying, like I said, I don't add it into my budget, but I did wind up having to buy a whole bunch of plant supplies for my Alocasia Zebrina just to make sure that it didn't die. So I wound up buying like more soil, bark. I got a bunch of like hydrogen peroxide that I've been adding into my plants. I've been having issues. When I actually got back, I had issues with root mealies, which are basically mealybugs that attack the root system, which is super fun. So I've been dealing with that. So there's been things here and there that I've had to buy. I mean, but that's basically like every month I buy like things here and there. So that's basically it. Let me know in the comments if you have gotten some really cool plants for the month of August. I want to know what you guys got in your plant hauls for the month. And yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys all have a great day and stay botanical.